She woke up married to an alien commander she'd never met. And the treaty that ended a war had made her his bride without her consent. Kaelith opened her eyes to unfamiliar silver walls and the low hum of a starship's engines. Her head throbbed. The last thing she remembered was standing in the Elven Council chamber, arguing against the peace accords with the human-alien coalition. Then darkness. Now she lay in a sleek cabin aboard what could only be a Zenari warship. And on her finger gleamed a ring she'd never seen before, black metal etched with glowing, runes that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Panic clawed at her chest. She sat up too quickly, and the room spun. Her dragons, where were her dragons? A low rumble answered her thought. From the shadows near the viewport, two scaled forms stirred. Ember, her crimson fire dragon, and Frost, her pale ice dragon, both watched her with worried golden eyes. Relief flooded through her. At least they hadn't been taken from her. You're awake. The voice was deep, measured, and came from the doorway. Kaelith's hand went instinctively to her hip, but her blade was gone. She looked up at the figure stepping into the dim light. He was tall, impossibly tall by elven standards, with midnight blue skin and silver markings that traced elegant patterns across his face and neck. His eyes were the color of distant stars, pale and piercing. He wore the formal armor of a Zenari general, all sharp edges and ceremonial plates. This was Commander Vaelthur, the legend whispered in frightened tones across a dozen systems. The blade of the Zenari fleet, and apparently her husband. "What have you done to me?" Kaelith's voice came out steadier than she felt. She stood, and her dragons moved to flank her, their low growls filling the cabin. Vaelthur's expression remained unreadable. "I have done nothing. The treaty was signed by your council and mine. Article 7, subsection 4, a union between our peoples to cement the alliance. You were chosen by your own leaders. I didn't choose this." The words tasted like ash. "I didn't agree to any of it. Neither did I." For a moment, something flickered in those alien eyes. Was it regret? Frustration? It vanished before she could name it. Yet here we are, bound by law and treaty. The ring cannot be removed until the terms are fulfilled or the union is dissolved by mutual consent before the Coalition Council. Kaelith looked down at the ring again. It felt warm against her skin, almost alive. What terms? 1 standard year of partnership. We are to demonstrate the viability of interspecies cooperation. If we succeed, trade routes open, resources are shared, and thousands of worlds benefit. If we fail, he paused, the treaty collapses. The war resumes. The weight of it crashed over her. Entire civilizations hanging in the balance, and she was the unwilling fulcrum. Her people, the forest elves of Sylvandris, had suffered terribly in the war. Burned groves, poisoned rivers, children who'd never known peace. And the humans, they'd been the ones to broker this impossible alliance, bringing together species who'd been enemies for generations. "Why me?" She whispered. "You are Kaelith Starweaver, dragon-bonded warrior of the Sylvan Guard. You fought at the Battle of Crimson Reach. You saved the human colony ship when you had no strategic reason to do so." Vaelthur's gaze was steady. "You were chosen because you understand what the humans call honor, and because you are brave enough to do what is necessary." Brave, the word felt hollow. She didn't feel brave. She felt trapped. Ember pressed against her leg, warm and solid. Frost moved to her other side. Their presence anchored her, reminded her that she wasn't alone. "I want to speak to the human ambassador," Kaelith said. Lauren Hayes. She was at the signing. "Ambassador Hayes is aboard this vessel. I can arrange a meeting." Vaelthur moved toward the door, then paused. "For what it is worth, I understand your anger. But the alternative to this peace was annihilation. The humans made me see that. They have a peculiar gift for finding hope where others see only endings." He left, and the door sealed behind him with a soft hiss. Kaelith sank onto the edge of the bed, her dragons pressing close. Through the viewport, stars streaked past in brilliant lines. Somewhere out there was her home, her forest, her people. And somewhere on this ship was the human woman who might have answers. She touched the ring again. It pulsed once, warm and insistent, as if reminding her of vows she'd never spoken. The door chimed. Her dragons tensed. Lady Kaelith? A woman's voice, speaking accented Sylvan. It's Ambassador Hayes. May I come in? Kaelith's heart hammered. Enter. The door opened, and a human woman stepped inside, dark hair, kind eyes, wearing diplomatic robes. But it was what she carried that made Kaelith's breath catch. A data tablet. And on its screen, a document titled Clause 47, Dissolution Rights and the Hidden Provision. We need to talk, Lauren said quietly, glancing at the sealed door. Because there's something about this marriage contract they didn't tell you. Lauren Hayes moved quickly, pressing her palm against the door panel. A faint shimmer of energy rippled across the surface, some kind of privacy field. The human woman turned back to Kaelith, her expression grave. We have maybe 10 minutes before security notices the disruption, Lauren said. So listen carefully. Kaelith rose, her dragons flanking her protectively. Ember's scales glowed faintly orange, heat rising from her body. What didn't they tell me? Lauren activated the tablet, and holographic text floated between them. The treaty has a clause 47. It states that if either party can prove the marriage was arranged under coercion without proper informed consent, the union can be nullified immediately. No waiting period. No mutual consent required. Hope sparked in Kaelith's chest, sharp and sudden. Then I can dissolve it. I never consented. It's not that simple. Lauren's jaw tightened. To invoke the clause, you need proof that the coercion endangered your life or autonomy. And you need to present it before the Coalition Council within 30 days. After that, the window closes permanently. 30 days? Kaelith's mind raced. Why wasn't I told this? Because certain factions don't want this treaty to succeed on paper. They want it to succeed in reality. A political marriage that actually works makes better propaganda than a legal loophole. Lauren stepped closer, lowering her voice. But Kaelith, there's something else. The Zentari didn't choose Vaelthur randomly either. He's been ... conditioned. The word sent ice through Kaelith's veins. Conditioned how? Military indoctrination. Loyalty protocols embedded in their command structure. Vaelthur is biologically incapable of acting against Zentari interests. If this marriage serves their military advantage, he'll pursue it regardless of your wishes. He can't help it. Kaelith thought of the commander's steady gaze, his measured words. Neither did I had that been truth, or merely what his conditioning allowed him to say. The humans, Kaelith said slowly. You brokered this treaty. You brought us together. Lauren's expression softened. We did. And I know how it looks like we sacrificed you for politics. But Kaelith, we also built in that escape clause. My government fought for weeks to include it. We believe in choice. Free will. The right to determine your own path. She gestured to the tablet. I'm giving you the information they tried to bury. What you do with it is up to you. Frost nudged Kaelith's hand with her icy snout, a gesture of comfort. The dragon's presence reminded her of something. Humans had fought beside her at Crimson Reach. They bled for refugees they'd never met, from species they barely understood. They valued sacrifice, yes, but never for servitude. Why help me? Kaelith asked. If the treaty collapses, then we find another way. Lauren's voice was firm. That's what humans do. We adapt, we persist. We don't build peace on the backs of people who never chose to carry it. The privacy field flickered. Lauren glanced at the door, tension crossing her features. You need to decide, the ambassador said urgently. Gather evidence of coercion, medical records showing you were sedated, council documents proving you weren't consulted, anything. I can help you access restricted files, but it's risky. Or, she hesitated, you could give the marriage a chance. 30 days. See if Vaelthur is more than his conditioning. Some Zentari have broken through it before, when they had strong enough reason. And if he hasn't? Kaelith's voice was barely a whisper. Then you use Clause 47, and I'll stand beside you at the council. I promise. The field collapsed with a soft pop. Footsteps approached from the corridor, measured, purposeful. Vaelthur's stride. Lauren pressed the tablet into Kaelith's hands. Hide this. Encrypted to your biometrics only. When you're ready to decide, find me. The door opened. Vaelthur stood in the threshold, his starlit eyes moving between them. His expression revealed nothing, but Kaelith thought she detected a flicker of something. Suspicion? Concern? Ambassador Hayes, he said evenly. I was informed you were meeting with my wife. I trust the conversation was productive? Very, Lauren replied smoothly. She nodded to Kaelith. Lady Starweaver, I'll have those cultural briefing materials sent to your quarters. For the adjustment period. She left, and suddenly the cabin felt smaller with just Vaelthur filling the doorway. Kaelith slipped the tablet behind her back, and Ember shifted position casually, her bulk concealing the movement. Vaelthur stepped inside. I came to inform you that we'll be arriving at the Coalition station in 3 days. There will be a formal reception. You and I are expected to appear united. United, Kaelith repeated, the word bitter. Is that what they're calling forced partnerships now? Something tightened in Vaelthur's jaw. I have been where you are. Commanded to serve. Given no choice in my path. I do not pretend to understand your anger, but I recognize it. Do you? Kaelith met his gaze directly. Or is that just what your conditioning allows you to say? His eyes widened, fractionally surprised, genuine and unguarded. You know about the protocols. I'm learning. She didn't look away. Tell me something true, Commander. If the treaty required you to kill me, would you? The silence stretched between them, heavy and dangerous. Her dragons growled low, sensing the tension. Vaelthur's hand moved to his side, not to a weapon, but to his own ring. The black metal gleamed in the starlight. No, he said finally. I would not. The conditioning is strong, but it is not absolute. There are lines even it cannot force me to cross. How do I know you're not lying? You don't. His voice carried a weight she hadn't heard before, something almost like sorrow. Just as I don't know if you'll use whatever information Ambassador Hayes gave you to destroy this alliance before it begins. They stared at each other across the cabin. Two unwilling partners bound by forces beyond their control. Outside the viewport, the stars continued their endless dance. Kaelith felt the tablet pressing against her spine, a promise of freedom. And she felt the ring on her finger, warm and insistent, a reminder of consequences that extended far beyond herself. 3 days, she said. Until the reception. 3 days, Vaelthur agreed. He turned to leave, then paused at the threshold. For what it is worth, Lady Kaelith, I hope you find whatever truth you are seeking. Even if it means my own undoing. The doors sealed behind him. Kaelith pulled out the tablet, her hands trembling. Frost and Ember pressed close, their warmth a comfort against the cold decision ahead. She had 30 days to choose, freedom or duty, escape or understanding. And somewhere in the space between. Perhaps a third option she hadn't yet imagined, asterisk. The Coalition station hung like a jeweled crown against the void, its rotating rings glittering with lights from 100 worlds. Kaelith stood in the observation deck, watching it grow larger through the viewport. In 3 hours, she would walk into that reception wearing ceremonial robes and a false smile, pretending this marriage was anything other than a cage. The tablet Lauren had given her felt heavy in her pocket. She'd spent 2 days combing through the file's medical records showing the sedative they'd used. Council transcripts proving she'd been unconscious during the vote. Testimony from other elves who'd protested her selection. Everything she needed to invoke Clause 47. Everything she needed to be free. You're thinking loudly. Kaelith turned. Vaelthur stood at the deck's entrance, not in his formal armor, but in simple dark clothing. Without the ceremonial plates, he looked less like a legend, and more like someone tired of carrying the weight of empires. I didn't know Centauri could hear thoughts, she said. We can't. But I've learned to read. Silence. He moved to stand beside her, careful to maintain distance. You've decided, haven't you? To use the clause. She should have been surprised he knew. Instead, she felt strangely relieved. Lauren told you? She didn't have to. I accessed the security logs. Saw the encrypted tablet transfer. His profile was stark against the starlight. I could have reported it. Should have, according to protocol. But I didn't. Why not? Vaelthur was quiet for a long moment. Because you deserve the choice they stole from you. And because, he exhaled slowly. Because these past days, watching you with your dragons, seeing how fiercely you protect what you love, I have remembered what it feels like to want something beyond duty. Kaelith's breath caught. Your conditioning is cracking. He turned to face her fully, and she saw something raw in those starlit eyes. Every time I try to view you as an asset, a political necessity, the protocols fracture a little more. You are not what I expected, Kaelith Starweaver. You are not meek or resigned. You burn. Ember rumbled from across the deck where she and Frost had been resting. The dragon's golden eyes tracked Vaelthur with new interest, not hostility, but assessment. I have my evidence, Kaelith said quietly. I can be free in a week. The treaty might survive. They'll find another solution, another symbol. It doesn't have to be us. No, Vaelthur agreed. It doesn't, but... He looked back at the station, at the lights of 1,000 ships from species who'd been killing each other mere months ago. But the humans taught me something. They have a concept hope married to action. They believe that the hardest paths sometimes lead to the most necessary destinations. Not because duty demands it, but because we choose it. Kaelith felt tears prick her eyes. You're asking me to stay? No. Vaelthur's voice was gentle. I'm asking nothing. I'm simply telling you that if you choose to stay not as my obligation, but as my partner, I will spend every day earning that choice. I will fight to break my conditioning completely. I will stand beside you, not above you. And I will help you find whatever future you want, even if it doesn't include me. That's not how treaties work, Kaelith whispered. Then perhaps it's time we wrote a new treaty. One based on what the humans value most, not force, but freely given trust. Through the viewport, a small human vessel passed by, its hull scarred from war, but flying steady. Kaelith thought of Lauren's words. We adapt. We persist. We don't build peace on the backs of people who never chose to carry it. She pulled out the tablet. Vaelthur tensed, but didn't move. My people have a saying, Kaelith said. The strongest trees grow in the fiercest storms, but only if they choose to put down roots. She held his gaze. I'm not deleting the evidence. I'm keeping it as insurance, as proof that I stay because I choose to, not because I have no other option. Vaelthur's eyes widened. You're staying? For 30 days. The original window. She stepped closer. In that time, you prove to me that you're more than your conditioning. You show me that this partnership can be real, chosen, equal. And if at the end you can't, she tapped the tablet. I walk away with your blessing, and you support my testimony at the council. And if I can prove it? Kaelith felt something unfurl in her chest, fragile, tentative, but undeniably real. Then maybe we become what they claimed we were, a bridge. Not because we were forced, but because we decided that hope is worth the risk. Vaelthur extended his hand, palm up, a Zentaria gesture of offering without expectation. 30 days, then, to build something real from the ashes of something false. Kaelith placed her hand in his. His skin was warm, and the ring on her finger pulsed once, but this time, it felt less like a chain and more like a promise she was choosing to keep. 30 days, she agreed. Ember and Frost approached, circling the two of them. The dragons touched their snouts together, then to Kaelith's free hand and Vaelthur's arm a blessing, or perhaps an oath of their own. The reception would be difficult. There would be questions, scrutiny, pressure. But as they stood together in the observation deck, Kaelith realized something the humans had perhaps known all along. The strongest alliances weren't forged in councils or treaties. They were built in quiet moments of courage. When two people decided that freedom wasn't just the absence of chains, it was the choice to stay and build something better, outside. The coalition station turned in its eternal dance, and inside, two unwilling partners took their first steps toward becoming something neither had imagined. Allies, friends, and perhaps someday, something more. Not because fate demanded it, but because they chose it. Subscribe for more epic sci-fi stories where courage rewrites destiny. Let the stars guide your next adventure.